Hello, everyone. Welcome to my Tuesday at 2 Facebook Live. I am April Davis with April Davis Creations, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Spring Hill, Kansas. Thank you for joining me today. Today is November the 4th. Christmas is next week. Not really, but it feels like it, doesn't it? I've got so many things that I want to do, and part of it that my timeline feels shortened is I'm going to be traveling 2 different times in the next 2 months. So I'm trying to stay on top of things, not only with my Stampin' Up! Business, but also with just things that are going on with the family. So anyway, I'm having a great time, and that's what's important, right? So thank you for joining me today. A couple things I want to talk about, because there's a lot of things actually for me to share. But the first thing that I wanted to share with all of you, and I'm going to see if I can do this and join you while I'm doing this, I wanted to share some happy mail that I received. I received this card from Kathy with a sweet note. And I just wanted to tell you how much I appreciate happy mail. I love sending out cards. When I send out cards, they make me happy. But boy, I tell you what, it makes me happy when I receive them too. So this was great happy mail. But the message here, gratitude turns what we have into enough. I love this. I don't know if you've noticed on my Facebook this week, but I'm doing a week of things that I'm thankful for. And I want to tell you that one of the things that I'm thankful for is you guys. You guys are so supportive and support me all the time, and I want you to know how much I appreciate it. On Friday, October 31st, I hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Blew me away. I just appreciate all of you that follow me and subscribe, and it's just been so much fun, and I get to know so many of you just through our messages back and forth. Hi Mom, thank you for joining. And then I have sweet friends that I've not actually met in person, but they send me happy mail with such sweet notes. So I am so grateful for all of you. All right, let me share with you a few other things that are going on. Today is an exciting day because today is the day that all the new online products have been released. And I just wanted to share with you, I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm going to highlight one of them, but I just wanted to show you all the fun bundles that are in here. And they're not Christmas. These are things that we're going to be able to utilize going into the new year and just having a lot of fun. I love this little cupboard with the dies and different things that you can put in it. It's called On Display Bundle. New 3-banner punch. Just fun things, delicate framing. I'll show you something later, not today, but later that I did with some swap cards. I'm going to be in St. George, Utah next week for a Stampin' Up! Gathering, and we did swaps, and I created 40 swap cards utilizing this delicate framing die set. So I'll share that with you the next time we meet. And then look at this. How fun is this? Cake day. And you build a cake. And you can do a chocolate cake, you can do a vanilla cake, you can do a strawberry cake. But how fun is that? We've got some adventure stamps and dies. This is going to be great for masculine cards. We've got some pop-up petals, petals of beauty. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more. A bundle with tags. Just fun stuff. So anyway, that's what's going on that started today. But I'm coinciding it with my mystery box ordering special. So I'm gearing up for the end of the year, cleaning up my stash and everything. And I created a number of mystery boxes. Everything in these boxes is approximately about $50 worth of retired product, embellishments, ribbon, paper, tools, you name it. So basically what I'm doing while supplies last, and because we've got the new the new online products available, anybody who places an order of $100 or more in my online store is going to get from me as a free gift a mystery box. And it is a mystery. I've got all different kinds of fun things in each of these boxes, but it'll be a surprise, but it'll be a nice box. And it's a gift for me just to say thank you for supporting me. So this special is going to go on for, until the supply runs out. This is what I've got available. When it's gone, it's gone. You can actually purchase up to $300 and get 3 mystery boxes, but I'm going to cap it off at 3 boxes. So anyway, this started today. So as you get a chance to go out and look at all the new online products and everything, and we've got 2 new kits as well. But as you get a chance to go out and do all of that, think about the mystery box, because that's my special gift to all of you. All right, I also want to touch on Paper Pumpkin. Paper Pumpkin subscription for November is open through the 10th, so we've got about 6 more days on this. We are given some clues. It looks like we're going to be creating some boxes and tags. That will be fun, but also remember that there's 4 of us that create alternatives as well. So you can plan on not only having supplies to create some boxes and tags, but if you're subscribed through one of us, you can receive the tutorial with 12 additional alternative projects for free, or I do have the tutorial. It will be placed out on my PDF store when we get it created. Right now, the October one has been uploaded for October's Paper Pumpkin. All right, I also want to talk about the 12 Days of Advent calendar. I know I've been talking about this a lot. I'm so excited about this, and I'm actually going to be sharing in the next few days some reels with some of the cards that I've created from this Advent calendar. But I got an order yesterday, the day before, it doesn't really matter. I got an order from a husband who saw this box and said, this is going to be a great gift for my wife for Christmas. So think about that. Do you have friends, family, sisters, granddaughters, people who love to craft in your life that might be interested in this 12 Days of Christmas Advent calendar? In addition to all the amazing products that you're going to get in the Advent calendar, I'm also going to share with you a tutorial with 12 projects that were created from all of the items that were in the Advent calendar. So take that into consideration. I also wanted to remind you that I do have retired product. I have a retired product store. So take time to go out to my website. I'm going to pop it up right here, and you can find my retired products under Shop Retired Products. Lots of fun retired products there. And I have it set up so that you get a lot of bonuses as well. When you buy a bundle, you get a free stamp set that you can choose from, and I pay for the tax and shipping. So it's a nice little package that you get. And then last but not least, let me move this stuff out of the way, because this is where I'm going to share with you one of the new items in the online store. Stampin' Up! Has started doing craft classes, and I took advantage of the last craft class that they did. I learned a lot. It's fun when demonstrators share, because then you learn a lot from them. You might learn from me, but I learn from others, and then I share with you. But we've got a new class that's coming up that will be live on November the 20th, and then once you have registered for it and paid for it, then you can watch it later on demand. But this particular class is featuring, I'm going to pull it over if I can get it picked up. It is featuring our Brushed with Beauty Sweet line. So in this, we've got this paper. So let me show you the paper that goes with it. Front and back. Isn't this pretty? And you get 2 of each sheet. I'm just showing you 1 of each sheet, but oh, how pretty is that? In the back, we've got this one, and then we've got these flowers. So we've got the flowers, and then you've got some embellishments. I've already dug into the embellishments already on another project, but Pearls of Beauty embellishments. But it features the Petals of Beauty stamps, and this is the new packaging. I don't know if you guys have seen the new packaging. Okay, here's what we've been using. This is what we're going to do today, is the Gingerbread Man. This is the new packaging. And I do keep my dies with my stamps. So I have it set up so that I've got my stamps here and I've got my dies in the back. And it all works out just great. But it's not just this stamp set, but it's also Words of Beauty. So you've got the stamps for just because, you're a great friend, it's your birthday, I appreciate you, I think you're amazing, you've been on my mind, and then you've got dies and labels that go with it as well. So this is the suite that's going to be featured with the, let me move this out of the way, live craft class that they've got. They've got a Facebook page that you can join, and then you watch live, and that's a lot of fun. But I watched it live, and then I would go back to it on demand. And then it also gives you the additional supplies list. These are supplies that you already have in your stash. They're just letting you know what you need so that you can actually craft live with them. So this is kind of a fun thing that Stampin' Up! Has started. You know, especially if you like attending classes but you can't get to a face-to-face class, you can do this with all of the people that decide to attend these virtual classes. All right, let me move this out of the way so I can get started on our to-go class. This is a to-go class, and so basically what that means is the class in itself is free, which is what I'm doing right now. But if you want the kit to go with the class so you can create the cards that I'm creating, then you can place an order in my online store. All the information is at aprildaviscreations.com. Look for to-go class. It will tell you what you need. You need to place an order in my online store, and then once I get that, then I will get the kit packaged up for you. It's all 3 cards times 2. And I'll get those shipped out to you. And I am going to be out of town next week, so there is no to-go class next week. So I'm hoping that those of you that are interested in the to-go class for this week, get your orders placed early so that I can get them packaged up and shipped out before I leave, because I leave on Monday. All right, we are featuring today the Gingerbread Man Bundle. A fun bundle. It takes me back to when my kids were little and we would cut out the gingerbread cookies, actual gingerbread, and we would decorate them, and the little buttons were red hots, and we would take white icing and pipe the outside of the gingerbread man. So I'm having a lot of fun with this set. And the cards that we're creating today, we've got card number 1, and basically what we've done is we've taken this one, and the gingerbread man is the actual card. So I'm going to show you how we're doing that. And then we've got another one where the gingerbread man is peeking out from within the card. And then we've got a couple of gingerbread. We've got gingerbread man and gingerbread woman, or gingerbread boy and gingerbread girl. And I decided to make little tags out of them, but I'm going to show you how you can make cards out of these as well. So we're going to make our gingerbread people also. So let's go ahead and get started with this one, since this one's got embossing on it. And I'm going to show you what's in the kit. And let me show you first off, when it comes to the dies for the gingerbread, you've got all the fun little pieces, the candies and the hats and the candy canes and all kinds of fun little things here. But then you've got the dies for the gingerbread itself. And I'm going to take myself off here. Hold on just a second so I'm not in your way. There we go. And basically it's one die, and there's a place in the center where when you cut it, that's your fold, okay? But you don't have to necessarily cut everything this way. So that's what I'm going to show you today in our classes. But the first one is done that way. So in the kit, I have a piece of cherry cobbler cardstock. I have a piece of designer series paper, and today I'm using the Traditions of Christmas designer series paper, and this is the paper that will come in your kit. I know the Traditions of Christmas designer series paper is unavailable right now. It's been very, very popular, but I have plenty to include in your kits. Then what I've done is I've already taken the gingerbread man and die cut it, and we'll get that folded up, but you can see the crease where we're going to fold. And then I cut out another one that we're going to use for the inside because I needed a place to be able to stamp my sentiment. So let's go ahead and we're going to get our stamping done first, and then we'll start to build this card. So the first thing I want to do is this. I'm going to fold my card this way. I'm not going to fold it just yet, and I'll get it all lined up. But what I want to do is I want to stamp my gingerbread on it in Versamark, and then what I'm going to do to replicate icing that you would have on the cookie, if you will, is I'm going to emboss it in white. So I'm going to take my embossing buddy, and let's go ahead, and I just want to get any oils and things that might have been on my fingers so that the embossing powder just simply sticks to where I want it to, the Versamark ink. So we're going to do that first. And then what I'll do is I will bring in my Versamark, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ink up my little gingerbread man. that all done. And this is actually 3 different stamps. I put the little buttons in, and I also put his face in. But now what we'll do is we'll get this centered up where I want it to go. And I think without getting my head too far into, I'm just trying to center it in the card. All right, we're gonna go down here, and I'm gonna make sure I get everything pressed. Give it a chance to transfer. I'm gonna put my lid back on. I'm just giving it a good press. All right, now we've got that. Pull that up, and you can see now where I've stamped. We'll clean this off in just a second. I'm gonna bring back in my light embossing powder, and we are going to add it to our little man. So I'm gonna turn it, make sure I get good coverage. I'm looking at it, and I can tell I did a pretty good job with my embossing buddy. I don't have ink really, or powder anywhere I don't really want it. He's kind of he's a big guy, so I want to make sure I get him all coated. So he's all coated. I might try to put a little bit more on his buttons. And I'm going to get all of that off, and then we'll go ahead and heat emboss him so that we can work on finishing him up. So let me bring in my embossing tool, which is way over here. And it's going to be a little loud for a second. I'm going to let it heat up for just a few seconds before I take it to the paper. And remember, when you're embossing, you only want to emboss until the powder melts. Any more than that, you're going to melt it too much, and it will melt into the cardstock. So I'm looking to see for when it melts, and you should be able to see it turn. It turn. And the powder, when it melts, it gets shiny. It's fun to just watch the process. Into those buttons. And I'm just double checking to make sure I haven't missed anything. Basically, you want to double check to make sure that you've gotten it all heat embossed, because if there's anything that you've missed, then it will wipe away because it's just powder. But everything is shiny. I don't see any places that I've missed. So we are done with that. So let me move this out of the way. And now what we can do is we can bring in our white piece that we're going to fit to the inside. And this one I'm going to stamp in cherry cobbler, and I'm going to stamp sugar and spice and everything nice. And I'm going to stamp it basically right across his middle. So let's go ahead and do that. And the other thing, these are photopolymer stamps. So as always, I try to have some sort of a cushion, whether it's my foam mat or my silicone mat, but I want some sort of a cushion so I'm not stamping on this hard, whoops, I'm not stamping on the hard glass mat. I just don't feel like it connects as well. So let's go ahead and get this lined up where we want it. And I'm gonna just stamp that down. Make sure I get a good transfer. And now we've got that. All right, let's clean up our stamps so that we don't have any messes. I've got this one I'll use for sugar and spice. We're going to use this one again. And since this one is so big, I have 2 choices. I could take my chamois out, and I'm just going to go ahead. I'll do that. I'm going to take my chamois out, and I'm just going to clean the stamp while it's on the block this way. Just kind of moving around a little bit. But I'll get all that Versamark off because we are going to be utilizing this stamp again. All right, so now we've got this done. So let's move these out of the way. And let's bring back in the other pieces. Now, the first thing I'm going to focus on is I'm going to get this folded up so that all the edges meet up. And I can use my bone folder right here to help me with this. I'm actually going to do it from this side so I'm not swiping across my embossing. I'm going to do that, and then I want to make sure that I get this even. So hopefully I've got pretty much this evened out so it's all meeting in the right places. Okay, now what I need to do is I need to fit this piece inside. Now, one of the things you'll notice is that this side has been rounded off, and I'm going to show you how to do that because you can see it's not rounded on when you fold it. So what I need to do is I need to get this aligned, and then I'm going to take my snips, grab my snips, and I'm going to snip across part of it and see if that's enough, if that will get me where I need to go. And it does. So let's go ahead and get this adhered down, and we will have that part of our gingerbread done. Okay, and I'm gonna line this up. I don't really want to see this white when I close out my gingerbread on the front of the card. So I'm going to play around with it just a little bit. My glue allows me to kind of shimmy it around. We'll close that up and double check to make sure my fold is such that when we look at this, you might see a tiny bit of it, but not much. Whoop, I'll bring it down a bit. All right. Let's bring in the rest of it. So I just have a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece of cranberry. Oh, sorry, cherry cobbler. I always want to call this cranberry. I don't know why, but cherry cobbler. And then I'm going to take a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of designer series paper. And we're going to go ahead and get that placed down. Sure, I got plenty of glue out here. And then what I can do is I can pick this up and I can just move it around just a tiny bit. Thanks, Mom. It is cute. I love gingerbread. And I've got some fun ideas to share with you. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take our little gingerbread guy and we are going to place him down. So let's go ahead and get our glue on the back. And then I'm going to kind of set him down at an angle. So we've got him ready to go. And now what we can do is we can decorate the rest of the card. Whoops, got a little bit of glue there. We'll take some an adhesive eraser when it dries and clean that up. All right, so what I did is there are all these little pieces, and I showed these to you before, but there's, what am I doing? All these little pieces, I'm trying to show you this. That you can die cut, so you can create what you want to with your gingerbread man. So what I've done is I've gone through and I've die cut all these little pieces, and we're going to give him a sucker, and I'm actually going to put a white, I'm going to call it a pinwheel. I don't know what you really call it, but I'm going to put a white pinwheel on top of my sucker, and then I'm going to fill it in with the red. So we've got that. And then he's also wearing a bow. So I'm going to pull that little piece out, and I've got this little part of the bow, and then there's like a little center to the bow. So I'm going to pull that piece out, and I think that's all I need with respect to pieces that we're going to build. And I've got more for the next cards, but let's go ahead, and I'm going to bring my silicone mat back in because we're going to do some gluing, and I'm just going to do it on top of my silicone mat so I don't get glue on my glass mat. So let's go ahead and get these pieces picked up. And let me see, I'm going to take my glue. I do use the Tombow glue that Stampin' Up! Has, but I put it into this precision tip bottle so that I have a little bit more control, because you don't need, with these little pieces, you really don't need a lot of glue. And many times I use my tweezers just to help me out because my fingers tend to get in the way. So now I can get this adhered, and I can pick it up and just make sure that it's even all the way around. But once I've got that, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my glue and I'm going to set it to the inside of this. and use my tweezers again. And now what I can do is I can line up my pinwheel inside of where it is. So now I've got a pretty fun sucker that we're going to utilize on our gingerbread. And then let me see, I'm going to take my bow, and this is upside down, which is fine. Now it's upside up. It doesn't really matter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place it in the center here. And again, a little dab will do you, right? You don't need very much glue at all. And then what I can do is I can put my center of my bow on, and then I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue along the top edge here. Okay, not a lot. And then we'll glue this down, and then we can come back in and we can, let's bring this down. I'm bringing it down till I'm right at the very top. And that's a little crooked, so I'm going to turn this, get my bow straightened up, do it this way. Good enough, good enough. All right, so let's go ahead and let that dry for just a second. And while that's drying, I'm gonna bring my gingerbread back in, and we've got these fun little red and white adhesive back peppermints. How fun are those? And those are perfect, right? I don't have red hots, although I have gems that I could use as red hots, but I don't want to use red hots. I want to use these little peppermints. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue here and a little bit of glue here. And we are going to put these little peppermints. I've got a big one here, so I'm going to use it for my big button because this button happens to be bigger. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to set this back here. I'm going to pick it up with my take your pick from the putty end. That way I've got a little bit more control. So I'm going to place this here. Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to pick up one of the smaller ones, and I'm going to place that one here. All right, so we'll let those dry. And then I do have, oh my goodness, I thought I had them. Hold on, guys, they're here somewhere. Oh, here they are. I knew they were here. These are the Delightful Decorative Dots. So these could be red hots. We're going to go ahead and we'll take those, and I'm going to take a large one up here. I'll take a smaller one right here, and then I'm going to take, I've got a lot of large ones left, so I'm going to take a large one down here as well. So I've got my dots, lots of fun candies for our gingerbread. And now what I can do is I can bring my little treats back up, and I'm going to actually cover up that glue with this. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the back here and down his spine, or the sucker stick, if you will. So we'll go ahead and get that down for our gingerbread. And then we'll go ahead and we'll put a little bit on the back of his bow, just a tiny bit, and then we'll go ahead and get his bow placed. So cute, so cute. Let me move this out of the way, and we have card number 1 finished. Isn't that cute? How fun is that? Gingerbread Man. All right, that's card number 1. All right, let's look at card number 2. So card number 2 is going to be this little guy, and we're going to do something a little bit different. Let me show you what's in the kit. We've got Real Red, and basically it's a normal piece of cardstock, 8.5 by 5.5. And basically what I've done is I have cut off an inch and a, let me see, 7, 8.5. I cut off an inch and a half off of this side. Okay, so when we fold this, we've got a little bit of fold, and we've got an inch and a half taken off of there. All right, so we've got that. Then I've got a piece of Designer Series paper for the inside. I have a piece of Designer Series paper for the outside. I have another piece of basic white cardstock for the inside. This is where our little note's gonna go. And then we have our little gingerbread that is going to go, we're gonna cut it, stamp it out of here and cut it. And then I've got these little pieces. So We'll put these together in just a minute. We'll talk about the pieces in just a minute. I want to focus on getting my little gingerbread man stamped. So here's what I want to do. I don't know if you guys can notice or not, and it's not a big deal. It really isn't, but I want to show you how you can prevent this. If I bring this up close, you can see that this probably could have stood to been stamped again. You see kind of light areas here. Well, when you're stamping off of a block like this, it's really hard to get things lined up. Doesn't mean you can't get them lined up, but you're risking it when you're trying to do that. So what I want to do is bring in my, I'm going to move this stuff out of the way. I want to bring in my Stamparatus. You can bring in any kind of stamp positioning tool, but I'm going to bring in my Stamparatus, and I'm going to place my paper down, and we're going to go ahead and we'll do it here. I've got like an adhesive sheet back behind here. It's not real sticky, but it is sticky. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in just one that I've already cut out. And what this is going to do is it's just going to help me to line up my gingerbread, because there's all this wobbly part to it, right? And I want to make sure that I get it fairly decently shaped, so I can use this stencil that I've got to kind of help me get it lined up so that it's shaped appropriately, not wonky and ill-formed. So that looks pretty good to me. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to close my lid, if you will. I'm going to have to take this off, which is going to kind of, I think it's moved me a little bit, so we're going to try to line this back up again. I think I had it right here, I think. So it's not going to matter because I'm going to cut it out anyway. But I'm going to move this over just a little bit. There, let's do it one more time. I want to get it centered because we are going to be die cutting and I need room on each edge. So just play around with it. There we go. I think we've got this. All right. I think we're going to be fine. This is adhering. And now what I'm going to do is I want little buttons. So I'm going to put his buttons on. And I'm just eyeing him. I'm going to go ahead and put his eyes and mouth on as well. I'm going to turn him over. I think his eyes are a little... That looks good. All right, so we're going to stamp him here, right? Okay, I think I want this to go up just a teeny tiny bit. Just a teeny tiny bit so that I've got the same on each side. All right, and what I'm doing is I'm pushing this up into the corner. So this is going to stamp. Yeah, now I've got plenty of room on each side of it, if you guys can see that. All right, so I'm going to bring out my, where are my inks? I'm going to bring out my pecan pie. I'm doing this little guy in pecan pie. So let's go ahead and get him inked up. And what I can do is I'll bring him over and we'll go ahead and press this down. I didn't bring my little tool over that allows me to kind of glide over this. That's okay. And then we're going to lift this up. Oh, what do you know? I didn't push hard enough. Okay. Got to push harder here. Harder here. Okay. I think part of the problem that I have, give me 1 second, guys. I think I've got it right here. I am working with a photopolymer stamp set, and this is set up for rubber stamps. So I'm bringing in my mat that will give me a lot more cushion, and we can do this again. But I'm glad I did this because I want to get that gingerbread a lot darker. So I'm going to ink him up again. And this time we should have a much easier time of stamping because now I have my mat in there. So I'm going to make sure I get it good. Oh, look how much better that looks. I'm going to do a little bit right here. I feel like I need a little bit more over here. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so I'm going to take this off. We're going to die cut it here in just a second. I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. And then I'm going to take my chamois and we are going to clean that ink off. And it's so much easier to do that when I can just hold the chamois in my hand and do it, especially when it's on a stamp positioner. All right, so I'm going to set that off to the side. We'll get that put away here in just a second, but I'm going to move it over to the side, out of the way, and I'm going to bring this back in, close this ink up because this ink is still open, and I'm going to bring the die in. Now, just as a reminder, this is what the die looks like. So, how are we going to cut this so that I have a rounded edge on each side? Well, let me show you. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my mint tape, and we are going to center the die over the gingerbread. So I've got basically equal distance around each side of it. So we'll put one here, and we will put one over here. And I'm going to do another one just to be on the safe side. All right, so we've got that. Let me bring in my big cut and emboss because this is a big die. And let me grab my, got a lot of stuff in the way here. Hold on just a quick second. Move this stuff out of the way. I'm going to bring my plates in. And basically we're going to start out with the die going through this way. So I've got my cutting plate. As you can see, it's well loved. Lots of cutting on it. I'm going to move it this way just a little bit. Hopefully I can crank it through. So I'm going to put that in there. And basically what you want to do is you want to cut all of the gingerbread except for his arm. Okay? That means, I'm going to turn this over just a little bit. That means that I want his arm hanging off the plate. So anything that's hanging off, and you can kind of see, anything that's hanging off is not going to get cut. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut part of him, and then we'll come back and we'll cut the rest of him. So let me turn this so that I can do some cranking here. I'll get this cranked through. All right, so let me show you what happened. All right, if I turn this over, well, you can see that a good part of him didn't get cut. I've only got part of him cut, right? Okay, that's not a problem. Let's go ahead and take this off. Save my tape. Normally, I would cut a little bit more of him, but that's okay. It's gonna work the same way. So you can see now, only part of his has been cut, right? Okay, so what we're gonna do is we are going to switch sides, and we are going to line this back up again. We're gonna line the die up into the grooves that has already been cut. So it's gonna take me a little second to do a little bit of working around, but it kind of fits in. And then I can tape this down, and this one's in. And then I'm going to double check to make sure this one's in. I heard it click. That one's in. I thought I had another piece of tape somewhere. Not sure where it went, but that's okay. I'll just get another one. And I'm going to tape this side down. And we are going to do the same thing. This time, you can see where this was cut. I don't want to cut that side. It's already been cut. So I'm going to put it to the outside. I'm going to line my plates up again. This has already been cut. So now what I want to do is I want to cut the other side, right? So I've got this hanging over again so that I'm not recutting it, but I want to now cut this side. So hopefully you guys can see how this is hanging off the plate. What's hanging off the plate is not going to be cut. And we will, again, crank this through. We're going to cut the rest of the gingerbread. All right, let me bring this in, get these things out of the way. Move him out of the way because he's so big. And then we will take our tape off. There's my piece of tape that I was missing. So we'll take that off, and this one off, and this one off. And now I have a gingerbread that is cut for my card. And here's my little stencil. Okay, so let me put these dies out of the way, and I'm going to bring my card back in, and let's start to build this up. So, first off, did that come off of this one? It did. All right, I'm looking for, give me just 1 second. My ribbon didn't make it over here, so I need to find my ribbon. I was just using it last night, so it's got to be, where is it? Oh, it's right here. Hold on. There it is. Okay, make sure I have everything. All right, so let's go ahead and start gluing. So I'm going to put this piece down on the inside. So we've got this, and I'm just going to line it up where I want it to go. Slide it around if I need to, just so everything gets even. It's off just a tad, slide that down. All right, we've got that. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this piece. This is gonna be for our sentiment. Inside sentiment. You guys can pick whatever you want, or it might be just a place for you guys to write a note. So we're gonna put this to the inside. And then we've got another piece that's going to go on the outside. Let me take my bone folder and burnish this just a bit. All right, so same paper. I'm going to put it on the outside. Okay, right here. Whoops, move it around so that it's even all the way around. I feel like maybe I cut this paper wonky. That's good. All right, so we've got that. Now we're going to take our gingerbread and we're going to put him to the inside. And we are going to tuck him in so he's on the card, but he's peeking out, right? So I'm going to go ahead and put my glue on the back. All right, and I'm going to put him down again. I don't want him off the card because then he won't go in the envelope, but I want him peeking out. All right, so we've got him down now. Now what we need to do is we need to put a scarf on him, and I just could not decide on what scarf to put on him. So I cut out several. You guys can help me decide. We can do a blue scarf, we can do a pink scarf. If I'm being honest with you, by the time I played with all of his scarves, so I would close this up and I'm like, oh, that one's okay. And then we do another one. It's kind of like paper dolls, right? I was having fun. How do I want to dress my gingerbread man? All right, so we've got this one with a little bit of red showing. That one's not too bad, but there's a lot of white there. This one's got a lot of pink. Not bad, not bad. There's gonna be a lot of red on the front. That one's not bad. But then I feel like I went back to the one that I had been with before. So let's hold off on these. Let's decorate the front. Basically what's gonna happen, let me show you this die. So for the candy cane die, you have two pieces. You have a solid piece and you have the piece that makes for the stripes, right? So I had to cut two. I cut a solid white, which gave me the white stripes, and I cut a solid red, which gave me the red stripes. So now what I can do is I can take my white, did I say red stripes? It's white stripe, white stripes on red, red stripes on white. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna do little dots here with this and grab my tweezers and we're gonna lay that down on my red candy cane. And we're actually gonna use both of these candy canes for this card. So let me get this placed. Now we've got our candy canes. And what I'll do is I'm going to bring them in and we're going to crisscross them. Let me get this one, make sure it's sticking. Okay, so we're going to crisscross. So we're going to go this way and this way across the front. And I'm going to actually adhere them with dimensionals. So let me grab some dimensionals and we're going to put these little dimensionals, these are the mini dimensionals, on the backs here. So I'm going to put my white one down first. These were a lot of fun to play with. You know, I felt like, seriously, I was playing with paper dolls and just setting up their little scene, if you will. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get the backings off of this one. And I will crisscross this one right up here. And then I'm going to crisscross my red over the top, but I really don't need dimensionals obviously here. So I'm going to put one at the end and then the rest of them are going to be up at the top because they've already got some dimension just from the crisscross. So we'll go ahead and do that. And I'm going to crisscross it this way. And let's see, we'll go like that. Okay. And then I've got this really pretty red ribbon, which I went and got. Here we are. So let's go ahead and tie a bow with it. So I'm just gonna twist it. I'm gonna try to twist it. It's not two-sided. It's like shiny on one side and not so much on the other. So I kind of have to twist it around to get the shiny side to show the entire time. But we can do it. I've done it before. I just gotta finagle this just a little bit. But once I've got that, I want it to be tight. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna go with that. I'm gonna bring out my ribbon snips. The ribbon snips I always have, it has a ribbon on it. Keeps them sharp. Cutting paper with your ribbons, your snips will dull them. So I want to get a nice angle here. So we're going to go this way. All right, so now I've got my little bow. I don't think it's even though, so now I'm going to cut off of this side. Okay, I think that's better. Let me move this out of the way, and we are going to use a glue dot to put this down. And then we're going to do our sentiment real quick, and we can decide then what is going to be our best bet for a scarf. And I'm going to let you guys help me. So you've been looking at the various options. Let me get this bow down here for our bow. I'm going to pull this a little bit hollow. Now I got to trim it, of course. I'm going to leave it for now. It's good. Let me get some of this out of the way. I have got a banner, a label that I die cut from my Stylish Shape dies. My to-go Stylish Shape dies, and we are going to once again stamp sugar and spice and everything nice, and we're going to do it in real red since our card is real red. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm going to go ahead and get this ink up. Okay. And then I'm going to move this out of the way, get this lined up. Get me. Make sure I get a good transfer on it. Okay, there we go. That looks good. And let's see, let's clean this off real quick. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add this to the card. And we are going to add it just to this side. We're going to center it. We're going to add it to this side. So for me to be able to center it, I'm going to take my ink, or not my ink, but my glue up to where my thumb is. I've kind of measured off where it ends on the card. So I'm going up to just where my thumb is. And that should get me right about where I need to be. I'm hoping I didn't. I'm going to turn it over. And I did good. No glue on that side. That's awesome. So we've got that, and I'm going to do the scarf last. So let's go ahead and bring out our little gems again here. These are called the Delightful Decorative Dots. So I'll go ahead and bring those out. And let's see, we've got a lot of big red ones. So I'm going to put a red one up here. I'm going to put a red one right. Oh no, what did I do? Well, we'll have to fix that, guys. Somehow I had ink on my hand. I'm not sure. I must have touched it. Let's see. We're going to fix it. I'm going to bring out my handy dandy undo remover. You see what I did? I don't know if you guys can see it or not. But the ink must have still been wet when I was pressing it down. Rookie mistake, but we all do it, right? So I'm looking for my dies, and I'm not seeing them right at the moment. Let's see. Where are my stylish shape dies? Not seeing my stylish shape dies. Where are you? All right, I'm not going to waste a lot of your time. If I can't find them in the next few seconds, then we are going to just move on, and I'll tell you how I'm going to fix it. All right, not seeing, oh wait, here they are. Found them. And I have a basket of, hi Jana, no worries, thank you. I am feeling better. I still have a drippy nose, but other than that, I am feeling a lot better. I'm going to bring in a scrap. I keep all my scraps in a basket. And we're going to fix this because that's just, I can't have that on my card. Here's my die that we're going to use. So let me very quickly run this through. I'm not going to have you guys watch me run this through because you know how to tell me about these dies, but I'm going to do it really quickly so that I can show you how I'm going to fix this. So let me go ahead and take my scrap here. We'll go ahead and get this cut out. And we'll start again on my sentiment. Oh my goodness. Don't touch your ink while it's wet, because if you do, it's potentially will smear. And the red wing ink, gosh, for some reason it's the worst. All right, here we go. So let's go ahead and put this down. I'm gonna move this out of the way, and we're gonna start again. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stamp this, and while the ink's drying, I'll show you how we're gonna fix the rest of it, because we're almost there. All right, so now we've got a new die, or a new label. Let's go ahead and take our red, and get it stamped. Move this out of the way. All right. You know, I always feel funny or silly when I make mistakes like this, but in all honesty, they're real. They're real mistakes. I make them, I don't want to say all the time, but I make them a lot. And so the nice part about it is that I can show you how to fix these mistakes once they've been made. So let me clean this ink off again. We're going to put this off to the side so we don't touch it while it's drying. Get this cleaned off. I'm going to clean it off of my fingers from the leftovers from the last one. All right, now here's what we're going to do. I'm going to move this out of the way. Got a little bling that's wanting to get carried away. Okay. One of my very, 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 very favorite products in my studio is my undo remover. It saves me over and over and over again. It's got like a little spoon on it, and it works on tape, it works on glue. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to tuck it up underneath my label, and I'm going to get this saturated. And it is going to be wet, but it will dry. But this is going to come off. I just gently move it around, and it's off. And I did not tear any of the paper. So this piece I can use again. If I were going to try to tear this off after having glue on it, most likely it would tear. So This piece is not salvageable. I'm going to toss it. And I'm going to let this dry. Well, while this is drying, before we put our sentiment back on again, let's go back to our situation with the scarf. So what do you guys think? I thought about this one. There's a lot of white. I thought about this one, but there's a lot of pink. I'm not sure I like that so much. The blue, I think, was just too much. I don't know. Maybe you guys like the blue. I used the red originally, and I'm kind of leaning towards the red again. But you guys, do you guys have a vote? We've got this pink one. I haven't put the pink one on yet. I mean, this is my little gingerbread. I'm dressing him up. So I don't know. That pink one is okay. So what do you guys think? I'm torn between these two. So while you guys are letting me know which one you think would be the best, first one I see is the one I'm going to use. So somebody respond. I am going to go back to my sugar and spice here, and we are going to get it centered up again. There's a little bit of glue already on here that didn't melt, but I'm going to actually put some more on. So I'm just trying to see. Again, I'm going to put it right about where my finger is. And I'm going to put glue all on this end. Okay, then I can get this centered up right about here. I'm trying to center it this way and this way. Looking on this side, and let's see, it's a little crooked, so we're going to straighten it up. And then I'm going to press it down this way. Okay, so we have our sentiment on now, and it looks way better than the last one did. So I'm grateful that we were able to get it fixed. Nobody will know. If you guys don't tell, I won't tell. Pink. Cool, Jana. I like pink too, so we're going to go pink. And it's fun to have different cards, you know, have them dressed up differently. But I do. I like the pink as well. So let's go ahead and get his scarf on. And this card is now done. Isn't he cute? And I do like his scarf. Fun. All right, guys. We're ready for card number 3. And actually, it's not a card. It's 2 little gingerbread people. Let me put these off to the side. Let me bring the kit in so you guys can see what we're doing. I've pretty much got the kit all cut, so we're just going to put it together. All right, so let me move this stuff out of the way. I've got 2 gingerbread. Now, I already showed you how we cut the gingerbread, right? In the last card, so that we've got the rounded arms on each one of them. So I've already showed you how to do that. I went ahead and cut a head, just a scrap, because I need to cut her hat, how I'm cutting her hat. And then all of the rest of this is going to be pieces that I've already cut. So I'm going to pull out the red hat and the white hat, and we are going to create his hat. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm just going to cut the top part of the hat away. I'm trying to see in window with you guys. Top part of the hat away so I can glue this down. So that'll be his hat. Then we've got his scarf. We are going to create, let's see, do I have, yes I do. We're going to create another sucker. This time I'm going to do, we had pinwheels. I'm going to just glue the pinwheel down. So we've got that. And then we've got a little bow that we're going to do. He's got a bow for his sucker. So we're going to pull those pieces out. There's another little piece here. And then for her, I need to do just a tiny bit of die cutting to get her hat, if you will. Here's where her bow's going to be. So we'll pull these out. And then, let's see, we're going to do a candy cane for her. This time I've got the white with the red. And we have another bow for her, so let me pull the bow out. And really, this is just going to be gluing. We're going to sit down and we're just going to get these all glued together, and then we'll be ready to go. Oh, but we do have, hold on, got these pieces out. The dies come with little, I'm going to call it bric-a-brac. I don't know what you call it, but it's going to be kind of like if you were piping the icing on them. So we are going to do that. So I'm going to pull those pieces out so we can give them some little decor on their legs and arms. And then what else? Am I missing anything else? No, I just need to do this one little die cut. And I'll show you guys real quickly how we're going to do that. If I bring this back in, there is a piece right here. I don't know what it's really meant for, but I'm using it for her hat. It looks kind of like an eggshell, right? Let me bring in my little, you're not going to see it, it's going to be off camera, but I'm going to bring this in. I'm going to put the die right about here. I'm going to make it kind of, I don't want it straight on. So I'm going to kind of, the first one's straight on, but I don't want it straight on. So we're going to go ahead. And I also need to bring it up far enough that I want it to have room for her eyes, because we're going to have to stamp her eyes. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to run this through real quick. And we'll take this off. Okay. So I've got that piece for her, and then we're going to put a bow on it. Let me put this die away so I don't lose it. All right, so let's sit down. Oh, there is something I forgot to bring out. We have all these little buttons. There is a die that cuts, there is a die that cuts all these little buttons. It cuts them 3 at a time. So I'm going to pull those out. So they've got little buttons, and this will be like we piped it, and then we're going to use some of this in a minute. All right, let me pull out, I think I only need 3 each. 1, 2, I'm going to pull, just because I think I want them all the same size. I think they do like 1 big and 2 little, I can't remember. We can pull it out and look at it, but not a big deal. I've got plenty that we can use. All right, so there we go. All right, so let's start putting these guys together. Aren't they cute? It's just so much fun. It's like playing with dolls. All right, so let's just start to glue some of this stuff together. I'm gonna bring in my silicone mat just in case I don't wanna get any glue on my glass mat, if I can help it. So let me make sure that I am in window for you guys. Move her up, move it over here. Here we go. All right, let's start pulling these pieces together. And then once we get them put together, it's just literally a matter of getting them dressed. And I've got a fun little idea for you guys. If you decided you didn't want to make these little gingerbread tags, they can be tags to go on packages. They can also be hung on your tree. I know at some point in time, people used to make like gingerbread cookies and decorate them, and then they would actually hang them on their Christmas trees. I don't know that I've ever hung real gingerbread on my trees, but orange slices and, fun things like that. But you could do that if you wanted to. And so I actually created these tags so that if you wanted to, you could hang them on your tree. They also make a fun little gift to put on a package, and then they can take that package and hang it on their tree as an ornament. Not the package, but of course the gingerbread, after they take it off their package, they could hang it on the tree as an ornament. So there's a lot of fun things that you can do with this. Let me use my take your pick to get this little guy on. These guys go together fairly quickly. I just need to use my take your pick to help me out because you're little. Oh, and I have sticky fingers, clearly. All right, so let's pick this up and bring it down. Okay. So we've got one bow done for his, and then let me see, we need to do, we've got a scarf. Let's do the bow for her hair. And we'll get this built up. Oh, actually we've got bow for her hair and bow for the candy cane, I think. All right, so here's for her hair. Let me move this around. We'll let that dry. And then, let me see, I almost lost my little piece there. Probably the part that takes the longest, and it's not hard, obviously, but just die cutting all of this out. But I just sit down, have a good show on TV, and just sit and crank them through, and then they're ready for me to create. Okay, so we'll move this one out of the way. And I've got this little guy that I'm going to do. Okay, and then we'll turn this guy. Oop, I did the wrong side. No, I didn't. I'm good. I am good. All right, so let's get this lined up. We'll let that dry. All right, so I'm going to move these off to the side. These are all put together. I'm going to bring our gingerbreads back in, and there's a couple things we need to do. I've got, let me see, I'm going to grab this one. I've got the eyes and the mouth. I'm going to use this one for this one. And then she's going to have little lashes on hers. Now, you've got a couple of choices. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp their eyes and their mouth. However, there are dies that will allow you to, and what did I do with it? I had it out. Oh my goodness, guys. It was in my little container, and now I can't find it. Well, what did it, how is it I lose stuff? It's like oh, here it is. It's inevitable. It doesn't matter every day or every time I do this. There are dies that will actually cut out the eyes and the mouth. So if I had wanted to, I could put the dies here, cut that out, put like a piece of black cardstock behind it, and I would have their eyes and their mouths. However, because these are going to be tags, I don't really want black cardstock on the back, so I am not going to do that. But I did want to share with you that there are dies that you could actually do that. And if you were going to be making a card or something like that and you wanted to do that with them instead of stamping it, one of the things that I will tell you when I stamp, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my Memento black ink, but one of the things that I noticed when I was stamping, and I'll show you here in just a second, is that these little guys are squishy. These little eyes and mouths are squishy. And so if you push too hard, you will misshapen them. So literally I'm pressing down, I'm holding it, but I'm not going to push hard because I don't want to misshape it. All right, let me just show you. Let me show you on this one. Can you see that he's got one eye bigger than the other eye? And it's because I squished just a little bit too hard on this eye. So ask me how I know that we have to be careful when we're stamping, right? Okay, so we've got his eyes on. We're going to put her little eyes on. And then we're going to put their little, like, what do I want to say? The little bric-a-brac and their buttons on. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and get her eyes. Maybe I should put her head on first or her hat on first, just so I have context as to where I want her eyes to go. So we're going to go ahead, and I think I had it so that it was going off to the side just a little bit. Not a lot, but it's going to have to fit like that. Okay. All right, now let's go ahead and do her eyes. We're going to go right here. Okay. I'm not pushing hard. I'm just making sure that I'm getting contact. There we go. Oh, that's cute. She's got little eyelashes. All right, now what we're going to do is I'm going to bring in this bric-a-brac. I don't know what you call it. Icing? I can call it icing. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it where I feel like I want it to be. And I'm just going to cut off little pieces of it. So we're going to place it there. And then I'll take this one over here and we'll place it there, and that'll work. And then we'll take this one and I'm gonna place it here. You know, icing is not perfect, so I'm not too terribly worried how I'm doing this. I just want to make sure that I get some on each area. And so I'm going to turn that over and scooch that down a little bit. So I've got her taken care of. So let's go ahead. And this is where this little fine tip precision point glue bottle comes in handy, because I do not want a lot of glue. It squirts out, so I'm just putting like little dots of glue if it's not clogged up, so that I can get these down without having a mess. Come on, come on, come on. I'm on the verge of, I don't want to push too hard because then too much will come out, and then I can just use my tweezers to help me get this lined up so I can get this down. All right, let's do this one. Kind of a little tedious, not bad. So let's go ahead and get this one down, and then we'll do the same thing for our little guy. So, oh, fortunately it fell glue side up. Thank you, thank you. And I'm going to turn it this way. And if I don't get it lined up exactly, it's okay. I can trim it off after the fact. So let's go ahead and do these. Okay, we'll go her here. Maybe, let's go this way. I feel like it went this way. So, like that. Okay. And then this one we'll get on. And I think for the purposes of time, we'll just go ahead and get her bric-a-brac on. I'll decorate him, but I'll put his on after the class. You guys know how this all works, because I want to show you another option if you decide you don't want to do, oh, come on, sticky fingers. Be nice. All right. So I'm going to push this down. I feel like I need to do, oh, just the scant of a trim right here. So little. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to get her bow on, and her bow's going to go up here. And I'm going to put it like right there. Oh, isn't that going to be cute? All right, so let's get her bow on. And I'm going to get it right there. It needs to stay. And then we've got the candy cane that's going to go on. I'm just putting a little glue right there. And then the candy cane's going to go right here. And then, of course, I'm going to put a bow on the candy cane, which is going to make it look so cute. Yeah, okay, so we got that. And then don't forget, we have to do her little buttons. So let me turn over 3 of these. 1, 2, and 3. Turn over, turn over. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 1, 2, and 3. 3 glue dots. Use my take your pick, pick it up. I'm using my tweezers to kind of help me get it off the end of my sticky part. And easy peasy. So fun. It turned over. Turn over. There we go. Pick that one up and it'll go right here. Perfect. All right, so I have her done. Let me move her off to the side, and we are going to bring him in. I'm not going to put his icing on right now, just for the sake of time, but I will go back and do it later. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to get his hat on. Let's see, I'm going to bring it down to right about here. And then he's already got his scarf on. And then we're going to take his candy cane, or excuse me, his sucker, and we'll put a little bit of glue here and down the stem. And we can put his sucker on right here. Whoops, my fingers are a little sticky. So, sucker right here. Leaves me a little bit of room to do his bric-a-brac. And his icing, I guess. We'll put the on here. And then we are going to give him, and he doesn't necessarily have to have icing. Maybe I choose not to do icing on him at all. All right, let's turn these over. They're being difficult. Turn over. There's one. There we go. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing. 1 dot, 2 dots, 3 dots. And then we'll do 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now we've got our little gingerbread all fixed up. So what do we do next? We've got some twine. This is the red and white twine that you can use to hang. And I have brought in my We Are Memory Keepers crocodile. It's got like little holes on it that I can punch some holes. So for example, I can take him and line him up, and maybe I want to put a pole right here. So now I've got the hole, and I can take my twine, and I'm just going to take my ribbon snips. Whoops, almost cut myself. And then I'm going to take him through this way. So I go through the front of my hole, pull it through, wrap it around this way, pull that through. So now we've got that, and then I'm just going to tie a knot at the end. Okay. Now I've got my tag that I can put on my gift. All right, but what if you don't want to do tags? What if you just don't want to do that? Then I would recommend creating a card. So you've got your little girl. Take a piece of cardstock. I'm going to use real red since that's what I was using before. And we have a die set, or a Stampin' die set. It's called Christmas Words Hybrid. And the dies actually cut out the words that you have here. So you can emboss them and then cut out the words. Rather than cut out the words for me, I don't think, can you guys see that? Rather than cut out the words, I decided that I just wanted to emboss a sheet of paper. Okay? So what you can do is take your card, layer your embossed down, and now I can take my little girl or my little gingerbread and I can lay her down right here, and now I've got a cute little card. I did the same thing when I was playing with the, oh my gosh, I can't think of what these guys are called, nutcrackers. And these were tags that Stampin' Up! Has a kit of nutcracker tags, and you make 12 of them. I did not need 12 nutcracker tags. So what I did is I took a card base, I embossed the layer with the same embossing folder that I just showed you, and just started layering these cards on the embossed layer and made these cute, cute cards. So if you don't want to create a tag with your gingerbread, you can still create your gingerbread and just make it a card instead. How fun is that? All right, that is what we've got. Let me show you just as a summary of what we created today. Let me move all this stuff out of the way. I'm going to leave her here. I'm going to bring him in. We've got them, and then a couple of others, of course. And then we had card number 2, where we have our gingerbread peeking out. And then we've got our gingerbread that we created that the card is actually the gingerbread. So how fun is that? Aren't these guys cute? And they're so fun to do. All right, let me come back and see you guys real quick. Thank you for joining me today. I'm sorry we went a little bit long, but when you're doing little pieces and such, it does take a little bit more time, but so fun. And hopefully I gave you guys some good ideas as to how you might incorporate what you're doing with your gingerbreads. So thank you again for joining me. Remember, this is a to-go class. If you decide you want to place an order, please try to do so by Saturday. Since I'm leaving on Monday, that'll give me Sunday to get things ready for you guys so that I can get them in the mail before I go out of town. I won't be doing a to-go class next week. I'll be in St. George, but I will post pictures, so I'm really excited about that. And I will see you guys then in 2 weeks. So take care. Bye, everyone.